Let's look at job order costing in managerial accounting. Companies account for manufacturing in a variety of ways. Job order costing is appropriate for products where it is possible to calculate the costs on a specific customer order or a particular job. Let's look at an example of job order costing. Blake's Cakes has accepted a special order for special cake brownies for a customer's party business. His customer has ordered 100 batches of brownies. We know the total manufacturing cost is the sum of direct materials plus direct labor plus factory overhead. The direct materials can be traced to a particular job or product. In this example, the items that go into making brownies that are easily traced to this particular job or product include flour, which is 25 cents per cup, eggs, which are 15 cents per egg, sugar, which is $1 per cup, and cocoa, which is $1.50 per cup. There are indirect materials that are 10 cents per batch, and those will go into the factory overhead costs. For each batch, 2 cups of flour are required, which we will multiply times 100 batches times the 25 cents per cup. For eggs, 3 eggs per batch times 100 batches times the 15 cents per egg. For sugar, 2.5 cups are needed per batch times 100 batches at $1 per cup. And for cocoa, 0.5 cups per batch at 100 batches at $1.50 per cup. This comes out to $50 in direct materials cost for flour, $45 for eggs, $2.50 for sugar, and $75 for cocoa. The total of the direct materials is $420. Direct labor can be easily traced to a job through things like time cards or assigned via a computer system. Skylar and Hazel normally work for Blake's Cakes and have been pulled from their normal positions to help with the big brownie order. Skylar works 5 hours on the order on June 14th and 8 hours on June 15th. The cost of her labor is $7 per hour. Hazel works 3 hours on the order on June 14th at a rate of $6 per hour. We can calculate out the direct labor by taking Skylar's hours and Hazel's hours at their direct labor rates. So Skylar worked 5 hours on June 14th at $7 per hour for $35. Hazel worked 3 hours on June 14th at $6 per hour for $18. And Skylar worked 8 hours on June 15th at $7 per hour for $56. The total direct labor associated with this job is $109. Now, factory overhead are costs that are not directly traceable to a job or product. So accountants and managers do their best to try to determine the best way to assign factory overhead to a job. Companies usually start with a cost driver. This is a meaningful cause of the overhead to be spread. Examples of cost drivers include direct labor hours or machine hours. At times, even direct labor cost is used. If using direct labor hours, it would be assumed the manufacturing overhead use and cost would be driven by the amount of direct labor used. In order to have factory overhead on a timely basis, companies use a predetermined overhead rate, or POHR, to apply factory overhead to each order or job. The predetermined overhead rate calculation is estimated factory overhead divided by estimated units of the cost driver. Let's assume that the estimated factory overhead for Blake's Cakes is $2,000 and direct labor hours spent are estimated to be 100. We will take the $2,000 divided by the 100 hours, and we will get $20 per direct labor hour as our predetermined overhead rate. For the brownie order, how many direct labor hours were used? On June 14th, there were 8 total for Skylar and Hazel, and on June 15th, there were 8 total for Skylar. So this is 16 total direct labor hours. So how much factory overhead should be applied? We'll take the 16 hours times the predetermined overhead rate of $20 per direct labor hour to get $320 of factory overhead that should be applied. So let's look at the total cost for the brownie job. Direct materials was $420. Direct labor was $109, and factory overhead was $320. The total costs come out to $849 for the brownie job. If total costs make 100 batches, the price per batch is $849 divided by 100 batches, or $8.49 per batch. If each batch makes 50 brownies, price per brownie is calculated by taking $8.49 divided by 50 brownies. This comes out to about 17 cents per brownie.